Welcome back. We're going to continue our lecture here. And according to the dynamical systems approach, development is a dynamic process as the systems grow and mature at different times. Rate limiters must reach a certain level in order to advance to a new stage. And as we can see, since each system matures or develops at a different rate, across the time, each of the different systems serves as a rate limiter. So this picture really takes into account how each of the systems interact with one another, and we can see that development really is not a continuous process that takes place over time, as we have different rates of development that occur. So at this time, we can say that development is fairly constant. We have an increase, a steeper increase, a less steep increase, and we can see that the rate of change is different as we mature. In addition to the dynamical systems approach, the ecological or perception action approach takes into account the affordances of the environment. So an affordance is defined as the function an environmental object provides to an individual. And the characteristics of the objects that we perceive in our environment define the meaning. Based on these affordances, we're able to create a body scale, changing the size of an object or other characteristics in order to meet the needs of the individual. So in the case of affordance, when we see handles on a door, we automatically think to reach and pull it. This is an example of a bad affordance, as it says push over there when you are looking at it and you want to pull. Here, for example, is a good affordance where you're going to pull to open and you're going to push in order to open the other way. So you can really see how the environment shapes the way that we are going to interact with the objects in it and perform the resultant motor skills. So from our two examples, we can see that perception and action are coupled, and it's the notion that these two cannot be separated. When a person looks at an object, he or she directly perceives the function of that object, and the function allows based on both the body type and the object size, shape, texture, so on and so forth. Some assumptions of the ecological approach. There's a close association that exists between the perceptual system and the motor system, and these systems evolve together. And you can't separate perceptual processes from action. You must always look at them together. Thus, you cannot look at skills in isolation. This kind of comes to the perspective of you cannot separate the animal from its environment. If we're going to explain development through the ecological approach, we can say that development occurs through perceptual learning, and the tuning of perceptual system drives development. As we explore, we're able to discover the affordance of objects in our environment and engagement in problems to be resolved between the mover and their environment as we move through it. Some implications of the ecological approach. We have to provide the opportunity for the child to explore the environment, which enables the child to discover affordances, and the child will then pick up the most relevant perceptual information in order to better fine-tune his or her system. So to basically summarize what we went over in class today, we went over three main perspectives in motor behavior. Remember the maturational perspective, which says that motor skills are driven by the central nervous system. To the information processing perspective, which says that we cognitively process and develop new motor skills throughout the process of aging. And the ecological perspective takes into account how the constraints of the environment, the task, and the individual interact with one another. While we still use the maturational perspective for behavioral norms that are based on age, the ecological perspective is the current and more widely used perspective. So that concludes the end of this lecture, and if you have any questions at all, please feel free to shoot me an email or post in the discussion forum. Just a reminder again, you have your assignments and you have a quiz due at the end of the module. Good luck, and I will see you at the next module.